This video, I'm going to talk to everybody about handling things the proper way. Now, I did a video yesterday or the day before yesterday, I believe. I think it was the day before yesterday. I did a video where I was saying how to do exposures the proper way. And then I use an example with that on how you should actually do it. But on this video, I want to talk about a topic that I had dived into quite a few videos ago. And it was about the different type of people that are contributing to certain things that are happening on this platform and certain creators that are doing stuff. And then just basically trying to mask it and cover it up to make it seem like it's something not what it is. The thing with me, with my exposure videos, is I'm not just only exposing the scammer, but I'm also exposing the issues and the problems that underline a lot of stuff that happens on YouTube. And for the ones that are not really paying close attention or have discernment to see what is happening, well, then that will go over your head as well. And just like the scammer that's trying to scam you, the one that's trying to do something for their own personal gain will also take advantage of your lack of knowing. So I like to expose things from all angles, from all views, to show what's actually happening and address it so that way we could kind of fix the issue and it just doesn't continue on. Like, I made a video talking about how you don't want to jump out of the fire and into another flame, because if that's the case, then what did you solve? If all anyone see you as a dollar sign over your head, and I guess when I say stuff, I gotta probably make another video to kind of explain what I'm saying, because maybe some people aren't quite catching on to what I'm saying. A person seeing you as a dollar sign on this particular platform, it doesn't necessarily have to be where you're just giving them the money, such as a content creator on here does. It could be solely because they see, well, or they found this or they did that, and they getting you to watch their videos, right? And it ain't nothing wrong with that, because isn't that what we're all here for? We're all here as content creators to get views on our channel. But if you are using a form of manipulation yourself, is that right? Now, I did a video about manipulation and the wrong side of manipulation. Now, there is a good side sometimes. Sometimes we have to be manipulated in order to stop doing stuff. Like when it comes to smoking, if you get hypnotized, you're literally getting manipulated in order to stop. When you have a problem with eating, you might go to a hypnosis to get you to subconsciously stop eating, right? So not all forms of manipulation is bad, but you have to see it for what it is. And a big problem amongst content creators on this platform is not giving credit where credit is due. And I know I've said that before, and I said it's partial my hang up, because it just seems like it just happens a lot on this platform where people just want to take credit for something. I guess because they feel if I don't take the credit for it, then nobody's going to come for me to watch it. But that's not really true. Doesn't mean that a person is not going to watch you, but it does mean that you need to step up your game and do it more effectively, right? When you are presenting information, that's all that means. It means that you just can't go watching everybody's videos and then quickly doing something of your own or trying to make a twist of something on your own. To me personally, I feel that ain't nothing but copying. All you're doing is copying. And there's content creators on here that tell you just go watch people content and then go copy them and just put your own spin to it. Well, that's still copying. What they said and what some content creators are doing is still copying. But the way you separate that is if you're inspired by something or you give acknowledgement to where you got it from. And I think, to me, that is That's what really bothers me with a lot of content creators, because they want to feel like they were the ones who did this or they were the ones who did that. And, this ain't necessarily just to 1 or 2 or 3 content creators. What I'm saying is hitting you is because deep down inside, you're doing it, and you're convicting yourself. It's not based off of what I'm saying just on this video. What I'm speaking on is what is happening across the board. And I also did another video where I talked about how content creators try to make themselves seem small when really and truly, in fact, they're large, right? Let's talk about something. When you have multiple pages, mostly because a lot of people are stuck into that niche and down thing. And so they don't want to carry over one niche into the next. And in the old system, I probably would agree with them that was something that they needed to do. But with this new system, it's not necessary for you to do that, really. You could talk about multiple things. In fact, because of how people are set up or wired with their attention, and their attention is what you need for retention, it's probably best to kind of dabble in a lot of different stuff on your channel. But I get why they did it in the old system. But with this new advanced high-tech AI machine learning system that I've been talking about ever since last year, before anybody wanted to talk about it and everybody thought I was just nuts, right? You can't do that. You have to change with the times. And so I've also made another video where I said I think some content creators are so stuck in the old way that they can't accept the new way. And then if they have somebody telling them that have been on this platform for less time, they feel like, who are you and why? And I did this and I got this and I got that, So on the channels, most content creators that have multiple channels are trying to, for the most part, just keep the niches separated. But then there are others who are doing it because they're just trying to get more money. They see what they can make on one channel, and so they're trying to multiply the money, right? Which isn't a problem. It's just deep about why you're doing what you're doing. See, what a lot of small content creators don't realize is, if you have 5 channels, let's look at this. If you got 5 or 10 channels, right? Then all those subscribers on those channels, if you're talking about the other channels on another channel, then at some point they're gonna migrate over just to see what you're talking about, because let's just say for what it is, curiosity killed the cat. And so if you can get somebody curious, they're going to look. Right? So for a person that has 10 platforms to say that they're a small content creator, well, you're lying, because you're not. Because if you take all 10 of those platforms and you add all the subscribers together, you're probably bigger than most content creators on this platform, right? But just because you're bigger doesn't necessarily mean you know what you're talking about, right? And see, I see this happening, and I've been seeing this happening since I got on this platform. Someone like me who like to do extensive research on stuff because I want to give out the truth, and that's why I don't spend a lot of my time doubling back on what I said and trying to correct what I said, because before I put it out there, I want to make sure that I'm correct, right? Even in this past little situation that happened, it was set up to make anybody believe that's what it was. So therefore, I believed it because of the research that I was looking at, what I was looking at from a point on, So you just can't throw stuff out there. And you can tell a person that is just throwing stuff out there, right? And are just watching people's videos and then trying to change something and make it into their own, because it's done in a rush. Here's the thing. If you're going to do an exposure video on someone, as soon as that person put up the video, if somebody's coming back right behind that person with an exposure video, there's absolutely no time for you to research whatever it is that you are talking about. You're just splurting stuff out there. You're not really looking deep into it. You're missing a lot of stuff or whatever. because you yourself did not take the time to look into what is actually being said or what's actually happening. And so the best way to try to make it seem like you know something is to give the viewers like, oh, it was because of me. It's because of me. It's because of me. No, it's not because of you. It's because you are basically copying people and then you're doing whatever, right? Because if you are really taking your time and getting to be able to research what is going on, there is absolutely no way you could throw up a video right after somebody do it. There is no way, right? Now I know people saying, "Oh, I don't edit videos, so I don't have to do that." Well, there's edits. There's edits. There might not be extensive edits, but there are edits. Okay. But even at that, even if you don't edit, let's just take that out of the picture. Even if you do not edit a video, right, and you just record and you throw it up there, you're still, there's no way. How can someone do a 20-minute video, release it, and as soon as they release it, within 5 minutes of it being released, there's somebody else doing an exposure video? How can you be that in debt about what you're saying if you yourself didn't even check into what's actually going on? Well, I'll tell you how, because you're not really in debt of what you're saying. You're just throwing some stuff out there. And then if you have to come back and clean it up, you're going to make another video behind that one and try to roll it in. What difference is that from somebody who is scamming somebody? If you're going to do exposure videos on people, or if you're going to bring awareness to something on people, give the people the opportunity for you as the one who's doing the exposure or the review to actually study and watch the material, so that way you could speak on it. Instead of just throwing some stuff out there just to make it seem like you're the one who's doing it, right? Even with videos, I gave an example about the channels. If you got 10 channels, even with videos, if you don't have a lot of subscriber people, the more videos that you put out there and you get views on those videos, accumulatively, even though they're paying you per video and the amount might be different per video, accumulatively, there's still going to be an average in the amount of videos. So the more videos you put out, the more money you can increase versus relying on one video. So the larger the platform for our subscribers, if they put out one video, it has the potential of getting more views than a person that don't have a lot of subscribers, or people that don't have a lot of eyes on them, so they're not knowing where it's coming from. You know, in my research, let me tell y'all how I do my research. In my research, when I see something, I literally, regardless if I want to sit through it or not, I watch it. I study what they're saying. I take notes about what they're saying in order for me to speak on what they're saying. I compare it to something I've already said, right? Then I'll go look for whatever it is that I'm going to address and talk about. And then I reference it in my notes so I can reference it on the video. That one small task that I just explained to you takes a lot of time. So that's why when I do exposure videos, you don't see my exposure videos going up right after the person did it. No, because I'm spending my time researching what I thought I saw, and I'm going to find the evidence in order to make it, to seal it in. And so therefore you got a better, clearer picture, right? And then when I'm doing the videos, I'm also giving accolades or acknowledgement to the ones that helped me to come to that thing based off of what I saw from their video or what they may have said in a comment. So that way it's not just me who's doing it. It's a collection of all of us who are working together for one common goal, right? And so for some that might feel like they're getting daggered, well, if you're getting daggered, it's because you're doing something you really shouldn't do, right? For those that want to come run to whoever the fence because they feel like they're being spoken of, well, that's because you're doing what I am speaking of, right? So, hurt dogs holler, right? But in my exposure videos, I expose everything across the board. So that way you could get a fuller picture of what actually is happening. Now, with the $25 shout out that our girl is doing, and I know a lot of my exposure videos focus around her because she's the one who's constantly keep making up this foolishness. But even at that fact, I don't feel every video is necessary to talk about, because at some point it might get like you overdoing it at this point, right? If you're not bringing anything new, right, and you already talked about this specifically, then you can come off the wrong way because you're trying to run behind. So let's look at why you're doing that. Even with me, when I was doing my country lane reviews, when I blew up from doing my country lane reviews, afterwards I told the people how I blew up, and then I also was honest. I don't recommend you do this unless you got a lot of time on your hand, because trying to keep up with a person that's throwing 15 to 20 videos up a day will exhaust you out as a single person when they have a whole team working for them, right? So I give you the full picture. And I know everybody ain't going to do that because everybody don't share the same tactics. You know, that's why I say I'm a little different than the regular exposing videos, because I'm giving you all angles so you can see it for what it was. But when the $25 shout out had came out, I made a video about it. I think I was one of the first people that actually spoke on this. The thing about me with exposure, I'm not new to exposing. I've been exposing ever since last year. I just didn't know how to do it the correct way last year, all right? And it became exhausting at a point, and then I stopped, right? But even if I stop doing something, doesn't mean I'm not still taking notes. I'm not still watching. I'm not still comparing to see what's going on. I might not be speaking on it because I don't want the effects of it, right? But now, here in 2025, when I do exposure videos, especially on this particular content creator, right? If I read comments, I've always said I read everybody's comments on her page. I myself don't comment on the page because I know I'm blocked off her page. I know I'm censored off her page because I wasn't one of the ones that was singing her praises, right? And when I saw something that wasn't right, I called her out on her crap, and she, like everybody else, she, pushed me to the side. So I know I'm not going to get my message heard. So my next step is to talk to her viewers. Not all the viewers, just the ones that I can sincerely see that just really don't know, right? And some of the viewers I have spoken with was ones that was questioning about how do they go about getting a shout out. Clearly they didn't watch the whole video, because if they would have saw the description in. So I'll reach out to those. I'll reach out to the ones that seem like they are helping push this stuff along. So I reached out to 4 Shades of Us before. When it first started, I reached out to her. I reached out to other people who try to help people with this wrongdoing. So I reached out to I think her name is like University something. I reached out to her on her videos. And the way I reach out to people, y'all, I don't reach out to people on their emails. Because I want people to see what I'm saying. So if it ever came back and it needed to be shown, it's all on a video. You just go see it, as long as the person didn't delete it. Whenever you're doing stuff behind the scene on a video, when you're trying to do exposure as far as like emails and stuff like that, it can kind of taint some of the stuff that you're doing, because then it will question, well, who is your source that's giving you this information, right? And then I think I've only had one person to actually email me something, because most people do my stuff on video, so it's there for all to see. I even then mentioned who was the person that gave me the information, but I don't want any type of I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I give you something and then you're trying to take what I give you and try to make it into your own. That's not what I'm doing. So I like to handle everything on the videos. And each of these people that I do reach out outside of her platform, I tell them the whole full picture. So when I'm talking about something, whatever I'm addressing them, it might be a pretty lengthy response that I'm giving them, trying to help them, not to hurt them, not to bash them, not to draw any negative attention to their channels or anything like that, but just to help them. And then I forewarn them of where I think might happen. And almost every single one that I have reached out to, it happened that way. Every single one of them that I tried to warn, it actually happened. Okay. So I don't need, that's why I said the comment section is like your gym. The comment section on your videos is where you need to go to, because it's the comment section when you're engaging with people, as well as when you are engaging on their platform, that actually gives you the information that you need, right? But for some content creators, they will go on other people's platform, read their comments, try to take it, switch it up, give half kudos to whoever, but try to make it seem like it's them. That's something that you will never see me do on this platform. You will always see me give accolades, and I'm not trying to whoever I get the information from. And that is something I wish it would stop on this platform, so people can see things a little bit better, because that too is what keep people in the blind. So that way it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on, right? You give reference to where you found the information, as well as you give reference to whoever sparked the idea in your head. You also give reference to others that are doing the same thing that you are doing. And you never make it seem like it's always about you. Because the moment you start doing that, then you're casting a shadow over yourself. Even for the ones that want to listen to what you're saying, it comes off as if you're no different than the scammer. If you're not trying to do it just for the cause, you're not doing it to help the people. You're more so doing it to help yourself, right? You're helping yourself because of views. So like when I did the country wine reviews, I was trying to do it as following along with a storyline that was really connected with my own personal life, because I somewhat had went through the same thing. So that's why I could talk so passionately about that particular subject. And then when it got the final thing came out about that saga that I had been following, I was one of the first people to do it because of the time frame it came out, and I happened to be up, and so I did a reaction to that particular video, right? But after that, I gave acknowledgement of the process for anybody that wants to follow, so they'll know how to do that and know what it really takes in order to keep that going on. So now that I'm doing exposure videos and I have that experience as to what it took for me to have that to happen in exposure videos, I also know what it takes in order to get it out there and do it the effective way, because how I handled my exposure videos was no different than how I handled my reaction video, with paying attention to detail, watching what was happening. You can't just scam over stuff. You're not doing anybody any justice by trying to be the first one to post something, right? It's just, you're not having any justice of doing that. And if you're going to do it, then just be very generic about what you're saying, because you yourself did not do the research necessary in order to speak on this particular subject, right? So we have to really look at what is happening and what is going on in this platform. And like I said, this might not resonate with a lot of people, because they probably feel like they're getting hit with the daggers. But the thing is you're getting hit with the daggers because you're doing it. That's the only reason you're getting hit with the daggers, right? And then there's the whole trying to discredit people for what they're saying. Now, I find that a lot on here. Not that they're trying to say, oh, no, what you're saying, this is what's going on. That's how you address misinformation, right? Trying to discredit someone is going out of your way to try to say whatever that they spoke on when you never did it before in the past, right? You never made your presence known, even though you were always there to begin with, because unlike everybody else, a person that do a lot of research, now this is to a particular person, unlike someone else unlike me who do a lot of different research and have paid attention to what your other channels are, the other ones wouldn't have known it was you because they don't know your other channels in this particular form. But go out of your way to speak on something only to try to discredit what another content creator says, and then when you get questioned about what you're saying, end up saying the exact same thing that the one you try to discredit. That is just so mind-boggling to me. That really is. That is so mind-boggling to me how, and I get it to an extent because this is marketing and sales, and so you're trying to get attention driven to your channel for whatever reason or another. But like I've said before, some people have some slick ways of manipulating people, and if they're not really paying attention to what's going on, you're not being done any different than the person that they're speaking on. I mean, it's just what it is, like when the scams had the Cash App scams came out originally, I said on my video, now this one, she done outsmarted herself, okay? Because the way she got this, because she's a one-woman team, she's never going to be able to keep up with this. She's never going to be able to keep up with doing this, and she's going to eventually fall off because it's going to be way too much, right? And then there are some out there that try to duplicate what they were doing and finding themselves not be able to fulfill what they're trying to do as well, because it's virtually impossible to do it that way. I made a video when I did the exposure videos on DD about the $25 shout outs and the $200 channel reviews. I also did a video talking about the correct way you can do that. To me personally, the $25 shout outs or shouting out somebody's channel, which is really the $200 review, reviewing individual channels. I made a video talking about that. There's just absolutely no way, unless you're getting behind their analytics, can you really help a person, because anybody just watching a video, quickly scamming over it and trying to make content out of it, you're being unjust because you aren't doing your you're not doing your due diligence in order to find out what's fact, what's not facts, how can you help and how can you not help. So you're not being justified when you're giving the information that you're giving out. And that's with exposure videos, but that's also with shout outs, channel reviews, because essentially you're still saying the same thing. You're talking about their thumbnails, you're talking about their titles, you're talking about, what they're doing, the same thing based off of one video, right? And it can be done. I mean, I can say it's done in a better way, it's for free, right? But you're still not giving them what they need in order to do it. On a business level, really, it doesn't make sense, even with the one-on-ones, unless you're going to charge a person like whatever all your bills is for that month. So if you have to give all your time to that one person, at least your bills are paid. So far as one-on-one, as far as a business, looking at it on a business level, that really don't make any sense either. Makes more sense to record videos and then teach this stuff out in a group setting, such as like a course or something like that. Not doing the one-on-ones unless you're going to make your one-on-ones really, really high, and definitely not doing one-on-ones for free. Now to me, it makes me wonder, like, where your head at, because if you're just not gonna be able to effectively do that, right? So I just made, like I said, I just made this video today because I'm looking at everything. I'm not just looking at the scams. I'm looking at the whole platform in general. I even made a video talking about YouTube and how YouTube is allowing a lot of this stuff to happen, right? So I'm not being one-sided. I'm being all sides, and I'm bringing it to the people so the people can make the discernment themselves to really see what's going on, y'all. And to end this video, I would just say this. It's not necessary to talk about every single thing a person do, even if they're in the wrong, right? Give a person an opportunity to make it right. And then, you know, if you continue to see them doing it wrong, then collab it all together with all the research you did and give an effective video. That's because at a point, you know, it could become obsessive if that's all you're talking about. Like, if all your channel is about one person, then it would come off to someone that just don't really understand what's going on as hate, because it's like you're just focused on that one thing or that one person. But if you dabble into everything, right, you break it up and you really do your research, then it might come off a little better than you're just targeting a person. You know, YouTube, I told you, I made a video talking about how to do exposures the right way. One of the things YouTube says is that they don't mind you talking about it, but as long as you don't overly talk about it, like you're harassing, now you can't overly do it. You have to fall back a little bit, you know, in order to make it effective, right? And then make it a teachable moment on whatever it is that you're finding wrong with issues in order to give help. Because if all you're doing is just exposing, right, but you're not showing the correct way, then really you're just doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for nobody else if you're not teaching them the correct way to do it, right? If you're not speaking on what not to do. Like, I like that one from vidIQ. I keep talking about it when it was talking about how content creators put on the fake cries and the fake apologies, and then they show you the right way to do an apology and then the wrong way to do a fake apology. But then at the end, they just come out and say, why even waste your time with doing that? Just go ahead and tell the truth. And that's what I like about their techniques and what they do, because they bring awareness to the whole situation, right? And then they show you the wrong, but also offer you a good solution. I think that's an effective way of doing things in order to bring it out to the masses. But, you know, hey, at the end of the day, this platform loves drama. And so I get why, you know, we tend to do it other ways as well, because that's going to bring the views to your channel. But let's be honest, just say what it is about. It's not necessarily because you just solely want to help somebody, because if you wanted to help somebody, you would have been helping somebody from the past. You would have been doing it even then, right? You're doing it for the views. You're doing it for what you're getting out of it, right? And where you could see where it can turn into something else. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just end this here. You know, like I said, a lot of stuff on this platform needs to be exposed in order for it to stop happening, in order for people to really understand what is happening, so that way they can get a clear picture and know how to move accordingly, even for themselves. But as always, be your brothers and sisters keeper. Keep God first. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe, y'all. And I'll see you in the comments and on the videos. And toodles.